Is this thing on? Welcome back, team. In this video, we'll cover our week 3 quiz. Remember those 3 things that I shared with you earlier. Find a quiet place. Make sure that you have a pencil and paper handy. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Call, text, email, Google Classroom. No excuses. Let's go. Let's get started. All right, so let's get started with question number 1 of our weekly quiz for week 3. The question was asked of us. It says a proportional relationship is shown in the table below. We have a table here that was given, and we're asked what is the rate of this relationship, and then we're asked to graph the line that represents this relationship. Well, we already know a couple of things just by nature of this question. It tells us that if we look at this table, what about it does it say? It says it's a proportional relationship. So we know that we're going to eventually have to graph what kind of line? That's right, we're going to have to draw a straight line. We're asked then to find the rate. There's a couple of things that should come to mind when you hear that question. What is the rate? Right, unit rate. You could also be thinking about slope, right? So we know that we're going to be looking for the slope. And in this table, we have to remember that we're looking for a rate or a unit rate. So we're looking for a comparison to 1, or one of these should be like something per 1. So if I look at my first ratio here, it's 0 to 0, and then it's 1 to 3. Oh, there's my rate. My rate here would be 3 over 1. Now, why would I write it 3 over 1 instead of 1 over 3? Well, remember that when we're talking about slope, we're talking about that distance that's vertical over the horizontal distance. We also know this as rise over run. And so when I look at this table, my vertical distance, my y-axis here on the graph is y, my horizontal axis I know is x, and that corresponds to my rise over run. So I know this first one already. My rate is going to be 3 over 1. Next, we're asked to go ahead and graph that. And so we can just use these values and start to plug them in. 0, 0, that dot goes there. 1, 3, I go over here. 1 is going to be in between 0 and 2. 3 is going to be up here between 2 and 4. Then 2 and 6. And 2 here, 6 here. 3, 9. 3, 9 up here. And already I have enough points that I can go ahead and take a straight edge and connect the dots here. And hopefully, again, yours will be straighter than that. So that's question number 1. For question number 2, we're asked to complete the missing value in the solution to the equation. So we've got this equation, we've got a solution, and it's told, or we're told that we have a missing value, but we're given something, right? So we're given part of the solution. Hey, the glass is half full, right? So in this solution, we have the missing value of x. We're given y, and since we're given part of that solution, we can go ahead and start to substitute to find what the missing part would be. So I've got 4x. Where I see that y, I'm going to write down -6, and that's equal to 10. I can, remember, use inverse operations to isolate that variable. So I'm going to go with the opposite of -6, and I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and I'm going to get 16 on this side, and this side will yield 4x. How can I get x by itself here? 4 times x is equal to 16. That's right. divide by 4 on both sides. The missing part to my solution is 4. For question number 3, we're asked once again to find the missing value in this solution. Now, what's different about this question than our previous question? That's right. In this question, we're given the x value of our solution, but we're missing our y. You notice anything else that's different? Yeah, when I look at this equation, I see I've got to distribute first. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to distribute that -2 to both terms inside of the parentheses. -2 times x will give me -2x. Then I've got -2 times +3. What would that be? Right, -6. So I can write down -6 here. On this side, I've got y -4. So since I'm given the x, I can go ahead and substitute for that in this side of the equation. So I've got -2, times -3 because x is -3, -6. That's on one side of the equal sign. On the other, I'm just going to bring that down. I'm not going to worry about that just yet. -2 times -3. Negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm going to write down +6 minus 6. That's on this side of the equation. On this side is y -4. So I've got 6 minus 6, still working on the right-hand side. I've got 0. So if y -4 is equal to 0, well, even without moving further, I know what y has to be. But let's check it anyway. If I use inverse operations to get that y by itself, then y is equal to +4. So the missing part of my solution here is 4. For question number 4, we're asked which ordered pair is part of the solution to the equation y plus 1 is equal to 3 times the difference of x and 4. And so we have some options here. This is a multiple choice problem. And we can tell that we have 2 solutions or 2 possible solutions that we could test out. And that's what we'll do. In this example, we can just substitute to test out to see which one would be a solution, if both of them would be a solution, or if neither of them would be a solution. So let's go ahead and do that. We're given the x and y values here, and I could, if you had a written copy of this, I would encourage you to annotate that. And so for x is 4, so on this side of the equation, I would substitute by writing 4 in the place of x. And on this side of the equation, I would substitute that y in its place. I would write -1. I've got -1 plus 1 on this side. And we know it's a part of the solution if this equation results in a true statement. If it doesn't, then it's not a solution. Let's continue. -1 plus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so then that means that this side is going to have to be 0 if it's part of that solution. In the parentheses, I got 4 minus 4. That's 0. So I've got 3 times 0. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 is equal to 0. So that means that, yes, 4, -1 would be a solution. Now, if you're hasty, you're going to select that one and be done. But we're not hasty. We're going to take the time to actually check to see if this next one would be true. And if it is, then we've got a different answer, huh? So I've got 5, 2. So let's go ahead and substitute 5 and 2 when we see x and y. So I've got 2 on this side. That's my y value. 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. And then x is 5 minus 4. And then we can start to solve. 2 plus 1 I know is 3. And on this side, 5 minus 4, that's 1. 3's on the outside. 3 times 3 is 3. Look at that. Both of these turned out to be true. So the correct answer choice was C. For our final question, we're asked to graph the line that represents a proportional relationship between x and y with the property that an increase in 5 units in x corresponds to an increase of 8 units in y. And we're asked for the unit rate. Now, we're told within the context of this question what we're going to be using to help us graph. We're told that an increase in 5 units x, there exists or corresponds an increase of 8 units in y. So right away I can start to think, okay, if x is equal to 5, y is equal to 8, that's actually my first ordered pair that I can start to plot on this graph. I've got 5, 8 that goes here, and if that's true, then it says, again, going back to the context of the question, that an increase in 5 units x corresponds to an increase of 8. So if I increase that x value by 5, and say I wanted to make that now 10, then just the property itself within the context tells me that my y now has to be increased by 8. So what would my y value be there? That's right, it would be 16. So my next point, or my next ordered pair, would be 10, 16. It would be 10 and somewhere way up there. But as we know, we only need 2 points in order to be able to graph. So I can take a straight edge at this point and just go ahead and graph that line. So I've got the graph done. Now it's asking me for that slope or the unit rate. And for that, we can actually use what was given to us. We were told that, remember, an increase in 5 in the x would be corresponding to an increase of 8 in the y. And remember that slope is that rise over run, so I can write the slope as 8 over 5. If I wanted to simplify it, I could also write that as 1 3/5 or 1/6. So that's going to wrap it up for our weekly quiz review. I hope that was helpful. Remember, you can always reach out via Google Classroom or by email or text if you have any questions. Stay safe, stay connected, and thanks for watching.